I'm Chef Nishanga Bliss, and I'm going to talk about how to get the most out of the produce and reduce waste in the kitchen, also to create something that's extra healthy. I'll be using cauliflower among other veggie trimmings. Great, but what about all this? We can actually use this. So what I've learned is that cauliflower cores are just as good as the rest of cauliflower, so you can just keep cutting that up. And yes, it doesn't have the cute little floret, but that's okay. Just cut it up and you just sneak that in with the rest of your cauliflower. We're making one of the all-time best things to make with cauliflower, which is cauliflower roasted in olive oil with salt and pepper. So I'm gonna start cooking that, and then I wanna show you how you can use the other parts of the cauliflower and a bunch of other trimmings that would often get composted. So composting is a great practice, but you're probably putting stuff in your compost that you could eat. And what's really interesting to me, as a healthcare provider, is that it turns out a lot of the stuff that we may be trimming away and composting is actually very rich in fiber that could be really good food for your microbiome. So a lot of times when we trim vegetables, we're taking off things that are, we're taking away parts that are a little tougher, and they're tougher because they're full of fiber, and that fiber is really healthy. So I often find you can salvage those pieces and handle them a little differently and still use them. So all-time favorite dish, roasted cauliflower, olive oil, salt, and I'll season this up a little more. I'm putting that in the oven at 450, and then I'm going to make a little condiment for this with some other trimmings. So now the cauliflower leaves, I like to keep those separate and treat them like cabbage. So I would mince these finely and make a little slaw out of them, which I'm not going to demo right now, but it's something that I make a point of saving these. You can also cut them up and roast them with the cauliflower as well. Because they're thinner, they'll burn in the kind of preparation I was just doing. But I really love saving cauliflower leaves and cooking them like any cooking green, like collards or kale or cabbage. The other thing I want to show is how you can use herbs. This might look like parsley, but it's actually carrot tops, and I found that when you buy carrots that have really nice tops like this from Full Belly Farm, or when you grow carrots, the tops are really tasty, and they have a pretty strong carrot flavor, but they go well into salsa verdes and pestos and other dishes, adding kind of a nice strong flavor. So I got the carrot tops. I've got some parsley that is looking a little bit past its prime, but it works very well in a salsa verde. It doesn't have to be like the most pristine parsley. And also what I found in making salsa verdes is that you can use the stems. In fact, you can pretty much use the entire thing. I just trim off the bottom of the parsley that might be a little bit of dirt on it, and I can chop this up. You just move it so that I can stand up. I can't really cook when I'm sitting down. I'm going to chop this finely. I'm going to combine these herbs and make a nice condiment for my roasted cauliflower. So chopping up some carrot tops. I wouldn't use all carrot tops because they do have kind of a strong flavor. Some other herbs like parsley. I've got a little bit of leftover basil that, like, I really should have been keeping this in a jar in water in the fridge, but I didn't do that. It got a little wilty, but no one will be the wiser when I chop it up and put it in my salsa verde. So I'm gonna mince that up as well. You can also do this in a food processor. I like to keep some texture to it, so I don't like chopping it up too finely. Food processor, it turns more into pesto, whereas we're looking for a condiment that has a little more texture here. Another one that you might be getting rid of is your fennel fronds. So fennel fronds make a nice herb that can go into a salsa verde or a pesto or be used as a garnish. And so I'm taking the leafy part of the fennel and I'm going to mince that up for my salsa verde as well. And then something else I really like is the green parts of scallions, chives, or green garlic. Green garlic is a traditional ingredient in salsa verde. Or regular garlic is, but this season, spring season, is a great time for green garlic, and you can actually use pretty much the entire thing. Even these leaves are a little more fibrous, but chopped minced finely. They have a lovely garlic flavor, and they add a really nice dimension to my salsa verde. So I can take those and also mince them finely. And again, if you don't want to do this by hand, it works very well on a food processor. If they do feel a little fibrous, yes, I can pull that part off and I can compost it. But you get the idea. There's so many aspects of produce that we may be trimming off and throwing away that we actually can save and use for their fiber, their nutrition, and their color. So again, a little more mincing. And then with salsa verde, I really like to put olive oil, I put salt, and some acid. A lot of recipes will call for a splash of vinegar, but I found that if I put some preserved citrus in it, I get the tart flavor, but I also makes it stay green longer if I use a preserved citrus. So this is a part of a preserved kumquat that I'm going to mince up, and I'm going to combine with my herbs and my olive oil, and I may need a little additional salt or potentially a little bit of extra acid, but it makes a nice bright complement to the herbs and a nice condiment. Pause. Right, here's the cauliflower, nice and crispy. I had it in the oven at 450 for about 20 minutes. Nice and brown, and you would never even know that core was in there. It just blends right into the whole dish. And that's already delicious in itself, but take a look at what happens when we garnish it with our salsa verde. So I had my chopped up herbs, I got my green garlic or regular garlic, I have some preserved kumquat, but you could also use lemon juice, lemon zest, some nice olive oil, some salt and pepper. Oh, those red flakes, chili pepper flakes. I'm gonna put that on my cauliflower. Toss it in, have a nice dusting over the top. And we've got a really beautiful dish. And about, 30% of it was stuff that might have been just tossed in the compost, but here we are able to enjoy it. So if you want